Hi, I'm Gemma, and today I'm going to show you a really easy fast dinner that illustrates really well how to balance lots of different flavours when you're cooking. I'm doing a one pan sausage, butternut squash, sage and onion bake. Everything goes in the oven in one go, and then we're going to finish it off with this really lovely fresh apple and rocket, or arugula if you're in America, salsa. And what that's going to do is we're going to have that lovely sweet savoury baked sausage and butternut squash, and then at the end, just before serving, we're going to put a really bright fresh zingy salad on, and it's just going to balance out all the flavours. What I love about this recipe is you can get it prepped if you're fast in about 5 or 10 minutes, then you can throw it in the oven for half an hour, go off and do other things, turn it once, in the oven for another 10-15 minutes, and then dinner's ready. Leftovers are amazing, so if you have leftovers you can chop them up and put them into pasta, into sandwiches, into tacos, so it's a great thing to make midweek when you're in a rush. Okay, I'll get started. First things first, butternut squash. I'm not going to peel my squash, but I'm going to show you how to chop it. So, if you've got squash, it wants to roll around everywhere. So the most important thing is to start giving yourself a flat bottom. I already have one of those. So first things first, I'm going to cut it through the waist. So you end up with these two pieces. And then now I've got a nice flat end, I can chop through the middle. So like that. Now I'm going to get the seeds out. For some recipes you can leave the seeds in, but for this I'm going to take them out. And I just use a spoon to get those. If you want to, you can put the seeds onto a little tray with a bit of olive oil and roast them, and then you'll get really nice crunchy seeds which are lovely scattered on top of soups and salads and things like that. So let's do the other side. Like that. And now I'm just going to chop out this little sort of core bit because that's a bit tough, we don't want to do that. So 2 little V's for that one. And this one. Now a lot of people think you need to peel the skin off, which to be honest is total faff. You lose loads of nutrients, and what happens when you roast the butternut squash like I'm going to do today, that skin actually gets really lovely and sticky and caramelised. So it's a lazy option, but it's also a more delicious and nutritious option. So we're just going to chop the squash into slices, about 1 inch thick. Basically the smaller you chop them, the quicker it will cook. But you don't want them too small because they'll burn. So I've done about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices. Now I'm going to turn it around the other way, hold it, and use my nice sharp knife to just do slices the other way, and then you'll get some nice chunks. So this is kind of the size that you want. Let's do the same thing with the other side. All the ingredients for this recipe are on my website, so just search butternut squash and you'll find it. Put this back in. This is exactly the same way that I do butternut squash if I'm making a butternut squash soup. So once you've got this technique down, that's basically how you can do butternut squash every time. So with this piece, there's no seeds, so you just need to chop the end off. Get rid of that, you're left with this. Chop it in half, again into fingers, turn it on its side and into chunks. Butternut squash is full of beta carotene, so it's brilliant for your eyesight, also great for your skin, and it's just a lovely orange vegetable to have as a nice alternative to carrot or sweet potato. So everything is done there. The next thing I'm going to do is chop an onion. So a little red onion. Chop the ends off. Chop the other ends off. Like that. So you're left with still the skin on, but both the ends off. And then really simply, lay it on one of the cut ends, chop through the middle, chop the other way, so you have 4 quarters, and then you can just peel the skin off. Let's do that with the other ones. So if you get a little layer of onion with the skin, don't stress. The nice thing about this recipe is if you're fast, you really can get everything chopped in less than 10 minutes. And if you wanted to, you could prep everything ahead, put it in the fridge, tightly wrapped in foil, and then just grab it in when you get home from work. So often what I do is I'll do my chopping one night while I'm making another dinner, get the next night's dinners chopped, and then the next night I just have to throw it in the oven. So here's our onion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into sort of, this is quite a little onion, I'm just going to break it into 2 pieces, just following the natural line of where the little segments are. If you break it up too much, it'll burn. But doing this, you're going to get a really nice, sweet, oniony flavour. So that's what we've got. So that's that. Last little bit of chopping is garlic, and this is barely chopping. I love roasting garlic in its skin, not only because I'm lazy, you might be seeing a theme here, but because when you roast garlic in its skin, what happens is it goes all sweet and sticky and delicious. So all I do is I take a clove of garlic, still in its skin, very gently squash it with a knife, but hardly at all, just to very gently break the skin. And then I'm going to throw it on my tray. I often put a whole bulb of garlic in this because it goes so sweet, it's not overly garlicky at all. And then with the finished dish, you just squeeze the garlic out like toothpaste, and it's delicious. So, let me move this out of the way. What I've got here is my tray, and on that I've got the butternut squash that we just chopped. I've also got the onion, and what I also have on here is some sausages. So I have a pack of sausages. You really do get what you pay for with sausages, so I'd recommend getting the best you can afford. If you can get outdoor reared pork, that's brilliant. If you don't eat pork, you could use turkey sausages or chicken sausages. The other thing is, the sausages in this dish provide a lot of the flavouring, so get something with really nice flavours, like a Cumberland or something with lots of herbs in, and then it's going to make everything taste really good. So all I'm doing is I'm using my hands just to spread the sausages, the onions, the squash into a single layer. This is a kind of, I'd call this a cookie sheet or a baking sheet. You don't want to put this in like a Pyrex dish or something small, because what will happen is instead of roasting and getting lovely and sweet and caramelised, it'll sort of steam and not taste very good. So you want everything to be really nicely spread out like this. I'm going to throw in some fresh herbs. So I have a rather sad sage plant in my garden. So I've only got a few pieces of sage. What I'd recommend is if you buy sage at the supermarket, buy a big bunch, use what you want here, and then freeze the rest in a little plastic bag. And sage is one of the few herbs you can actually use from frozen, so it'll save you wasting it, and it'll mean you always have it to hand. So I'm just going to drop the leaves on. This is some fresh oregano. You could use rosemary if you wanted to. And again, I'm just going to scatter that over the top. I'm going to put a tiny bit of oil. You don't need too much because the sausages are going to release some oil as they cook. You just want a little bit to sort of get things going. Use your hands. If, like me, you get very dry hands, you can then rub your hands with a bit of the oil. So everything's spread out. I've got everything on there. The last thing I'm going to do is just put some salt and pepper on. Just bear with me 1 sec. So here's my salt. So give it a nice sprinkle. And if you don't want to use butternut squash, you could use sweet potato, you could use carrot, you could use all sorts of different veggies in here, preferably harder veggies, so things like parsnips, carrots, root vegetables, celeriac. I wouldn't use things like tomatoes and things because they'll burn a bit too quickly. So that's all done. That's going to go in the oven. I've got a really nice hot oven, so 220 or 440 if you're in America. And that's going to cook for about half an hour. And then after half an hour, I'm going to give it a turn and cook it for another 15 minutes. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like and how we finish it off with that really lovely zingy salsa. Hi, so we're back with our sausage and butternut squash bake. This has just come out of the oven. It's been in there for about half an hour. Have a good look, see how lovely and sticky those sausages are. The butternut squash has gone gorgeous and golden and soft around the edges. The garlic's gone all oozy in its skin. So now we're ready to finish it off. First things first, I'm going to add some acid. Now, if you read my recipes and read my website and come to my classes, you'll know I'm obsessed with adding acid to the end of things. So I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar to this, which I'm just going to grab. So this is a cider vinegar. I'm using cider vinegar because I feel like cider vinegar goes well with sausages and the sweetness of everything else. You could use white wine vinegar if you wanted to. All I'm going to do, while everything's still lovely and hot out of the oven, is I'm just going to put my thumb over the end and just sprinkle a little bit over the top. Think about how you put vinegar on your fish and chips. That's the kind of idea that we want. So we want that bit of freshness to counteract the slight fattiness of the pork and also the sweetness of the butternut squash, because without any acidity or bitterness in there, it's just going to taste a bit too sweet. So that's all ready. I'm going to move this to the side. I'm going to make the really quick salsa that I mentioned earlier, and then I'll show you how to plate it all up. So first things first, it might seem a bit weird to put apple with a salad, and I know when we moved to America I got really freaked out by the amount of fruit that was in salads over there. However, with this dish, what I want to do is I want to add something very fresh and bright, because the butternut squash and the onion and the sausage are quite savoury and deep, and sort of deep base notes, without getting too strange about things. So adding something bright and fresh like apple, and I'm going to add some rocket and some lemon, is just going to balance everything out. So you want to use a green apple, so like a Granny Smith, something very tart. And then all I'm going to do is chop it in half, take the core out, using that. So the core pops out, so you're left with this sort of shape of apple. And then all you want to do is just cut it as finely as you can, either into matchsticks or very thin slices. Get a really sharp knife is important here. Also, remember not to do this on the board that you chop your onion on, otherwise you're going to end up with raw onion flavour in your salad, which isn't good. I made that mistake before. So, really nicely finely chopped apple. If it's a bit too big, all you can do is just pull it into a pile and run your knife through it. So you get nice little appley shards. I'm going to scrape that into my bowl. If you're making this at home, you'll probably want to do all of the apple and probably even 2 apples, but I'm just in a bit of a rush today, so you guys don't have to watch me chopping apples too much. So there's my apple. I'm going to grab some rocket. So I'm using rocket. You could use watercress if you wanted to. Basically, you want something nice and peppery. I'm going to pop that in. And then the acid starts. So I'm going to use the zest and juice of the lemon. So here's my zester. When you're zesting a lemon, what you want to do first of all is give it a good wash under hot water, and that'll get rid of any wax that's on the outside of your lemon. And then when you're zesting, you basically just want to do one turn, a swipe and a turn, a swipe and a turn, and then you won't end up with lots of pith. You'll just get the lovely, fresh, bright lemon flavour, and it smells amazing. And one of my big things is, if ever a recipe tells you to use the juice of a lemon or a lime, always use the zest as well, because it's free flavour. And actually it's a much more concentrated flavour, so you don't get the liquid that you would do by adding more juice, but you get lots of lovely flavour. And you'd be throwing it away, which is a total waste. So, there's my lemon zest. Now I'm going to chop it in half, I'm going to add some juice. My trusty juicer. So there's the lemon juice. I'm going to put some sea salt in, sea salt flakes like Malden. I'm going to put some olive oil in. Now I'm using a good olive oil, so this is the kind of olive oil that you want to drizzle on salads, not the kind of olive oil you might cook with. So just a tiny bit. And some pepper. And then the best tool for the job is always your hands. So just get in there and give it a really good stir. And what you've got now is you've got that really fresh, tiny bit of sweetness from the apple. You've got the lemon zest, the lemon juice, the salt, the pepper, and the fresh greenness of that rocket. Which, by the way, is arugula if you're in America, if you know what I'm talking about. So that's all tossed together. Now I'm going to plate it up so you can see what it looks like. So first things first, I'm going to put some of my sausage. I'm actually going to chop the sausage a little bit, so just chop it in half. I'm going to get some of my butternut squash. Obviously, you might want to use tongs or tweezers. I have very strong fingers. Some of the onion, and I quite like to pull the onion apart a bit. Like I say, this is delicious stirred through pasta. It's lovely with mashed potato. I kind of feel like the butternut squash makes it hearty enough that you don't need to add any other carbs, but my husband would disagree. So here's my garlic, and all I'm going to do is just squeeze. Can you see all that gorgeous garlicness? Garlicness? I don't even know if that's a word. It is now. Squeeze that on, and then I'm going to top it with a little bit of my salad. Put another sausage on so we don't look mean. And that is the finished thing. Now the reason I'm putting the salad on top is not because I'm trying to be chefy, it's because then it forces you and it forces the people you're cooking for to eat a little bit of everything together, and that's the idea, because we've got the sweetness of the butternut squash, we've got the very savoury umami flavour of the sausages, we've got the sweetness, I already said sweetness, we've got the sourness of the lemon and that little bit of vinegar, and we've got the bitterness of the lemon zest. And the saltiness of the salt that we added. So it's just a really well-rounded, delicious dinner. Like I said, you can eat it like this, or you can stuff it in tacos, you can stir it through pasta. Leftovers are great with a salad or on a sandwich, and it's just a great, easy dinner that ticks all the nutrition boxes and also ticks all the flavour boxes. So I hope you enjoy it, and let me know what you think. Remember, the recipe's on yousaytomatocooking.com. And you'll be able to find all the ingredients on there, all the correct quantities, and let me know when you make it at home.